Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Illinois State University's Virtual Community College Advisor Day. My name is Samantha Miranda, and I'm the Assistant Director of Transfer Recruitment in the Office of Admissions. Well, I was hoping to be able to welcome you in person today. Virtual will have to do for one more year. And if there's one positive to a virtual advisor day, it's that we've been able to reach a lot more people. Today, we have a record number of registrations with over 140 community college representatives from 37 Illinois community colleges. We're so happy to see also representation from My Credits Transfer and the Illinois Articulation Initiative. I want to express our sincere thank you for all the hard work you do and for making Illinois State and our transfer community what it is today. Just as we did last year, this year we're going to only take 1 hour of your time, knowing that Zoom fatigue is very real. So today we're going to focus on important updates from the Office of Admissions, and then we'll be showcasing 3 academic areas: our School of Music, Department of Health Sciences, the Department of Agriculture, and then I'll be sharing a link later on where you can read a full list of academic updates. It's going to be a very fun, informative hour. With that, I'm going to turn it over to our Director of Admissions, Jeff Mavros, to share some important reminders and updates.
Thanks so much, Samantha. Good morning, everybody. As Sam said, my name is Jeff Mavros. If I had forgotten that, it's on the screen, which is helpful to me. I echo her thank you for not just your time today, as we know that you're busy people, but also all that you do for our students and this great partnership we have, bringing great students from your institutions to ours. And so we appreciate all that you do. This will be a fairly quick update on our enrollment activities, because I certainly want to pass along to my colleagues in our academic areas who are the stars of the show today. So without further ado, Sam, could we move forward, please? Thanks so much. So quick enrollment update. As of Census Day this fall, we are at 20,233 students. That's down about a percentage point from 1 year ago, but the bright side of that is we had a few more new students than we did last year. We're up a little bit in freshman students and up about 6% in our transfer population. So again, our sincere thanks to you for all that you're doing to prepare students and send them our way. To that end, our GPA of this incoming class is at a 3.19 among our transfer students. And so on this slide, you can see how that translates. And ultimately, it means that our retention rate and our graduation rate is very strong. So we have an 89% retention rate among our transfer students. And I think the fact that they come in as well prepared as they do really sets them on a course to success. And so you can see that almost 1 out of every 2 of our students that's walking across that commencement stage each year started at another institution. So a credit again to all of you. So thank you so much for that. Okay, Sam, we'll keep rolling. Wanted to give you some sense of the programs in which your students have been most interested of late. This is the list from this cohort of both those programs that they might have applied to and then those to which they were admitted. Just a couple things of note here. You'll see is probably no surprise to anyone that nursing is high on the interest list and a little bit lower on the admit list. I think you're all aware that there's an extremely competitive pool for nursing each and every year. And so that doesn't come as any surprise. Most of these other programs also are those that you are likely to hear about from your students and those that they'll try to pursue here at Illinois State. Shouldn't be a surprise. I will point out undeclared. You'll see that takes the top spot on both the applied side and the admitted side. Really there, what I'd tell you is we are very well prepared to help students figure out exactly what they'd like to do and still graduate on time. We just talked briefly about the retention rate and the graduation rate of our students. I will tell you, it's really through it's through a lot of help and resources that they'll get here, and so it's no surprise to us. We have a pre-admit team that will do some advising for students prior to that admission, and certainly we have resources on our website as well through our academic area of our website where students can check into some of those areas of interest and do a little bit of assessment to see where they might be a good fit for some of the programs that we offer. Through our career services, we have a program online called Focus to Career, and so they can find that very easily online as well. And then certainly after admission, if they are still undeclared at that time, we have both career courses that help them elect a major of choice, and we also do certainly specialized undeclared advising as well out of our university college area. So a lot of resources there for students who are undeclared, so I don't want anybody to be afraid of coming in without a major to Illinois State declared. Okay, Sam. Thank you. And I think a lot of you have probably seen this designation before. So the PTK Transfer Honor Roll indicates those institutions across the country that are really kind of hitting that high standard for serving transfer students. And so we are really proud to tell you that we are one of 11 institutions in total that have been on this list since its inception. So as you are well aware, there are thousands of schools in the country. We are one of only 11 that can say we've been on this transfer honor roll since they began with it. And it's really an evidence of our commitment to our transfer students and the fact that every year we're trying to improve our process and find new ways to serve our students. And so on the right here of this slide, you'll see 3 of the different resources and tools that we make available to students to do that. And I'll break one of those or each of those down here in just a second. So first are the transfer credit guides. These are available on our website for all of our Illinois Community College partners. And so students can go out and take a look at how their courses are going to transfer. We certainly also update our course articulations annually on Transferology. So many of you are familiar with that tool. So a couple good options there for students to kind of figure out how things might transfer. Okay, Sam? Our major admission guide is also out there. The nice part about this document, and again, very easy to find on the website, but the nice thing here is students can see both, or all of you as you're serving your students can see the courses that are required of students for admission into their program of choice, as well as those programs that are just recommended to make them more competitive in our pool. And the same is true of grade point average. So students can see that floor GPA that's absolutely required of them in order to gain admission, and then really a very realistic look at what a GPA would be at a certain level to make them competitive based on history with the program. Third one is Redbird Promise. And again, I think most of you are familiar with this. This is our guaranteed admission program. Students are required to have a 2.4 cumulative GPA in either an Associate of Arts or Science. And at that, they would be admitted to Illinois State. We don't guarantee admission into their program of choice necessarily, but we do guarantee them admission to the institution. Certainly, as we were just talking about our major admission guide, that can really help students if they're thinking about admission to a particular major and what will be required of them. The thing I would explain about this chart here is you can see that there had been some growth. And I would say if we were to go back even a couple of years prior to the 2019-2020 year, you would see this steady growth in Redbird Promise registrations and students declaring interest in our guaranteed admission program. And then certainly COVID, among other things that were disrupted, Redbird Promise, we've seen a smaller number of students kind of raise their hand and tell us that they are interested in this next step. And so you can see that we've kind of seen a drop down in that, but we expect that to build right back up with increased awareness, increased access to all of you. And so remember that students can sign up for the Redbird Promise program as early as their junior year in high school. So it's never too early to just make us aware that students have interest and they'd like a pathway to Illinois State. And certainly our transfer team can do really good work in advising them and helping them find those courses that are going to get them here and make a smooth transition. So those are 3 of those resources we wanted to talk about. Now I want to switch really quickly to application and decision timelines. This year, we opened our application on August 1. In past years, we've done that on September 1st, generally. As many of you are aware, we are on the Common Application this year for the first time, along with some of our peers in the state. And so in order to align those timelines, we moved all of our fall 2022 application openings to August 1. Quick note, however, for transfer students, we are not accepting the Common Application for summer fall 2022. Transfer students will still use our institutional application to apply, but the application is open. We have already started sending decisions. And again, that priority deadline is unchanged. It's January 15th. That's going to be the best position for students in terms of both admission to their program of choice and for scholarships for which they might be eligible. Really encourage them to get those applications in by January 15th. And again, we already talked a little bit about nursing, and that'll be a slightly elongated timeline due to pooling those applications and having a very comprehensive review of what is an exceptionally competitive pool. So a little bit about timelines there, not a whole lot changed from previous years. Here's the news on the scholarship side for us. Our transfer student scholarship, and again, many of you have had students come to Illinois State having received the transfer student scholarship. In the past, students had to have applied by our priority deadline. We have removed that barrier this year so that all students who meet these criteria that are on screen, so 24 college credit hours or more with a minimum of a 3.5 cumulative GPA, all students who apply within our time frame for admission are going to receive the transfer student scholarship. So again, it goes all the way to $1,500 per year and is renewable. So those dollar amounts are at $500, $1,000, and then up to $1,500 in those increments, renewable. So financial aid offer timeline doesn't change. FAFSA, again, we're certainly encouraging students to do it by mid-November to put themselves in the best position. The last thing I'll tell you on the scholarship side is, again, we had a few over 1,600 incoming transfers in this cohort. About half of that number received scholarships from the Office of Admissions for this fall. So an increase over what we had done previously. And again, by removing that priority deadline for applying for the transfer student scholarship this year, we expect to award even more scholarships this year. So we are aware that affordability is key for all students, and we're trying to do more and more every year to make scholarships available. Also, don't forget that the other automatic scholarship that's available to transfer students is, of course, our legacy scholarship for those students who have either a parent or step parent or grandparent or step grandparent that have attended the university. So. Connecting with counselors, by virtue of all of you having registered for today's event. In fact, you are registered for our online email newsletter or electronic newsletter that will go out monthly. We will try not to put a 6-page digest in your email inbox that we know you won't have time to read. We'll try to make it concise and really timely so you can get little nuggets of things that will help you as you're serving students. But if you have colleagues that you think would like these updates and benefit from them as they're helping their students out as well, you can see the URL right there on screen where they can sign up to be recipients of that email newsletter. So we're going to try to keep you informed every step of the way this year. And then as far as connecting with students, there are lots of options, as you might expect. So our transfer campus visit, we do weekly. So we'll have an in-person transfer campus visit for our students on Thursdays or Fridays, depending on the week. Certainly Saturdays are available to students as well. We love to have students visiting us in person. We've been doing that really for the last year. We've been having guests to campus in small numbers when need be, with certain guidelines so that we're within COVID compliance and all of that, but we've not had an incident with anybody being on campus and staying safe. And so we love to have students visit us. Please have them do so. We have open houses coming up. There's one this Saturday. There's one on October 11th and one on November 12th. So we expect to get back to large events. We're going to certainly, again, maintain those safety protocols, but we expect to have a really good turnout for each of those events. And open houses are great because everybody around campus is available to students on those days. And then certainly our on-the-spot admissions decisions are popular with students because, just as they sound, students can show up and receive an admission decision on the spot. And so what they need is a minimum of 24 credit hours at the time. They'll need to have an application on file as well as an official transcript. But provided they do those things, they just go out to our website and make a request of our staff for a day that they'd most like to be on campus or on the spot. And what we ask is that they give us at least 2 days prior notice, but then we'll be able to staff accordingly and make sure somebody can accommodate them. So we would love to see students on the spot and be able to make those assessments right there with students in our presence as well. And then certainly we're doing our virtual duty as well. We know this isn't the preferred format for connecting either with you or with your students, but it does increase access. And for that, we continue to do this. Our transfer information sessions, we've kind of limited to about monthly. Just in that we've seen that there's moderate interest in it, but again, for certain students and especially in an access kind of mind frame, it's really helpful to have those out there, and we're doing that monthly. And then certainly our one-on-ones that are virtually available with our staff members. We're doing about a dozen of those a week. And so students will find those out on the website. They are posted. And so students can find availability of our staff for a one-on-one, and just a great opportunity to sit down virtually across the table with one of our transfer team members and get their individual questions answered. So a lot of options there in visiting and connecting with students. So I apologize for zipping through this as quickly as I did, but like I said, I want to keep us on time and pass to my colleagues in the academic departments for whom you have probably the majority of your questions. So finally, from me, thank you so much. We so greatly appreciate your time this morning, as well as all that you do. Please stay in touch with us and let us know if we can help you at any point. Thanks, Sam.
Thank you, Jeff. Okay, before we dive into our academic spotlights, a reminder that a full list of our Community College Advisor academic updates is shared on our Community College Advisor website, illinoisstate.edu/CC Advisors. So I encourage you to review our full list of academic updates when you have the time. If you are hosting a transfer fair or state university transfer day this year, you'll likely be seeing one of these spaces at your college. And with that, I would like to invite our transfer admissions counselor team to join me on screen here and introduce themselves.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jorge Colon. I'm one of the transfer admissions counselors. Great to see some familiar names on the call today. Looking forward to seeing you this semester.
Morning, everyone. My name is Morgan Johnson. I'm also one of our transfer admissions counselors, and echoing what Jorge said, it's really exciting to see so many familiar names today, and hopefully we'll be seeing you out on the road later this fall.
Thank you, Morgan and Jorge. Yes, and if you haven't, or if you aren't offering an in-person or virtual transfer fair or state university transfer day, please know we are open to virtually meeting with your students on a set date of your choosing. If you'd like to reach out, we're happy to do that. Okay, so for the rest of the event, we are going to spotlight music, health sciences, and agriculture. Each presenter will share an overview of their program, what's new and highlights. They're going to talk about transfer admission requirements and course recommendations, and then information about their respective transfer student populations. We have about 5 minutes at the end of each session, or each of their presentations, for questions and answers. So if you have any questions and answers, please utilize the Q&A button below, and we'll be sure to get to them as time allows. So with that, I'd like to welcome Christine Hansen, our School of Music Academic Advisor, to start us off. Welcome, Christine.
Thank you so much, Sam. I'd like to start today by reviewing the degrees that we offer in the School of Music. You can go ahead, thanks, Sam. We have a music education degree. This is by far our most populated undergraduate degree. We have a Bachelor of Science degree in music business. This is an arts administration focused degree, not music production. That is an important distinction. We have a BA and a BS in liberal arts music and multiple Bachelor of Music degrees in music therapy, music performance, music composition, and jazz studies. We also offer 2 music minors. One is a liberal arts minor and the other is in jazz performance. We don't have any new updates really for you. There's nothing new in the pipeline for this coming year, but I do want to review a couple important points. All prospective music majors and minors must audition for and be admitted to the School of Music. We can only hear students audition who have been admitted to ISU or those with active applications. We can't hear auditions from students who have been denied admission to ISU or those who have not yet submitted a university application. You see at the bottom of the screen here a list of our audition dates for this academic year. We have our first one coming up this Saturday, and we also have one in December. If you have a transfer student who is thinking about our spring 22 admission, they can audition for us in December. The rest of our dates are in January, February, and March. It's important to note that students will be automatically considered for merit-based music scholarships, but they do need to audition by February 5th to be considered for that. We are really proud in the School of Music to offer individualized attention to all of our students. Our applied faculty, those that teach lessons, are on campus 5 hours a day, or 5 days a week, 8 hours a day. So they're all are full-time. It's becoming increasingly uncommon in schools of music to have full-time applied faculty. So we're really excited that we can still offer this opportunity to our students. We do encourage our students to forge their own path through their degrees. We attempt to maintain enough flexibility in our degrees that students can explore multiple interests within music without adding significant time to their degree. This is a little more difficult for transfer students because they tend to be on a tight timeline, but we do support creativity and exploration as much as possible within the framework of our existing degrees. Our students have access to high quality clinical, practicum, and internship experiences. They have a multitude of performance opportunities every semester on campus. We have a very collaborative environment with our School of Music and College of Fine Arts, and we like to encourage our students to consider interdisciplinary collaboration within the university as a whole when it's appropriate. We also have a very active student body. They like to be involved in music organizations, and they are everywhere on campus. They're very involved in the campus community. They're also very engaged in the Bloomington Normal community. So if you have a student that likes to be involved in the community that they live in, this is a really excellent program for them to join. I do want to highlight the skills that are developed in music students. It's not uncommon for students and families to be very hesitant to pursue a career in the fine arts because our degrees don't necessarily have a very defined career trajectory. But our majors spend years developing skills that are really highly sought after in the professional realm. Our students are creative problem solvers. They have excellent time management skills. They're resilient. They cope with disappointment and failure and criticism on a daily basis. They're highly motivated. They spend hours a day alone in a practice room by themselves, but they're also very good at working in groups. They're great collaborators. And those are just some of the skills that they are working with on a daily basis. So by the time we are finished with them, by the time they graduate, they have these really remarkable skill sets that prepare them for success, regardless of the field that they end up in. And I don't think the importance of what they learn here can really be overstated. If you ever need to have this conversation, those are some good talking points that you can take with you, especially if you're working with parents that are hesitant for their student to go into fine arts. As I said before, all of our students do have to audition for admission to the School of Music. If a student's not successful on that first attempt, they can re-audition, but we only allow one audition per academic year. If you're working with a student who was not admitted, have them contact me. I'm happy to go over next steps with them. All of our transfer students with piano experience will need to take a piano placement check for our group piano courses. These occur on our audition days and before the beginning of each semester. If you have a student that is currently enrolled in a group piano course, we recommend that they wait until they've completed their group instruction piano before taking the piano check. Likewise, transfer students that will be bringing in music theory credits will have to take a music theory placement exam. These are offered at the beginning of each semester. This exam is currently undergoing a revision. I don't know what the new exam will look like, but I've been told to expect it by the beginning of next semester. The minimum GPA for most of our majors for transfer students is a 2.0. For music education, the transfer GPA is a 2.75. We don't make any exceptions to that music education transfer GPA. So if you have a student that really wants to come here for music education and they are below that threshold, we recommend that they audition. If they're admissible, we will take them into the BS music degree. And once they have earned a 2.75 GPA at ISU, we will move them into the music education degree. That gives them a chance to get started on all of the other required music coursework, and then they can catch up on that music education coursework later. We also ask that as academic advisors, you reach out to the music advisors here. If you're working with a music transfer student, we can make broad recommendations for music transfer coursework, but it really depends on each student and the experiences that they're bringing in with them. So it's almost easier for us to give a case-by-case recommendation. So never hesitate to reach out to us for course recommendations for your transfer students. And finally, I just want to take a few minutes to talk about some of the challenges that our music students experience. These seem to be exacerbated in transfer students. First of all, we find that transition from a 2-year to a 4-year school is difficult. Our music classes move very quickly. The content is demanding, and there's a lot of it. So our transfer students tend to have a hard time that first semester. We do our best to prepare them for that, but if they can be aware that the content might be a little bit heavier that first semester, they're going to do a little bit better. They need to be prepared to have to work really hard to catch up that first semester. Time management is always difficult for music students. Our music students take on average 8 to 11 classes every semester. So if a student hasn't experienced that volume of course load before they get here, they're going to struggle. They need to be working on time management skills before they transfer, so they have tools to cope with that many courses before they come. Our music students have inconsistent schedules. No week to week is ever going to be the same in a semester for a music student, and they're going to get progressively busier as the semester goes on with performance commitments. We see that this inconsistent schedule and the busyness of their schedule does tend to lead to a decline in physical health as the semester progresses. They tend to start skipping meals and they get less sleep. We are doing everything we can to combat this. But when we talk with them and they have plans in advance to make sure they're planning meals in advance and finding ways to get enough sleep, they tend to do better. So we try to talk with them about this at the beginning of the semester to give them time to look ahead and figure out how to manage their physical health. We also see a lot of mental health concerns in music students. There's a lot of anxiety and depression, a lot of performance-based anxiety as well. And music students tend to identify as musicians. So when they get into a situation where their musicianship is being criticized and picked apart on a daily basis, they can take quite a hit to their self-esteem. And so we see problems that crop up with that. So we have a lot of resources available for them, but they also need to be aware that this could become a concern for them and that there are resources to help them with this. We also see a high rate of burnout. These students get tired of being around music all the time. So we have ways that we can help them with that as well. But these are things that if they're aware of before they get here, they're going to have an easier time dealing with them. It's also expensive to be a music major. If there's a student with financial difficulties before they come here, this is just going to add to that burden. If we know that they're going to be struggling financially, they need to talk with us in advance so we can find resources to help them with some of these extra music fees. We don't have any transfer-specific scholarships, but as I said, anyone who auditions by February 5th will be considered for a music-based scholarship. We don't have any transfer-specific student organizations in music, but we do hold a music organization open house during the first week of each fall, so our transfer students can become acquainted with the ways they can be involved in our community. I perform routine wellness checks with our transfer students throughout their first year on campus, so they do know that there's a supportive environment and community for them should they need it. And if they request it, we will pair them up with a peer mentor. So we'll take a more experienced transfer student and let them kind of guide the new student through that first semester on campus. That's all I have for you right now. I'm happy to take questions for the next few minutes, and thank you for letting me be here today.
Thank you, Christine. We do have several questions that have come through during your update. Can students audition for multiple instruments? Is the first
Yes,
question.
they can. Students can audition on up to 2 instruments. We ask them to be careful if they're going to do that. That does involve preparing 2 separate auditions, and that's a lot of work. They want to make sure that they are performing at the best of their ability. So if they are going to perform 2 auditions, they need to be fully and well prepared. But yes, they can audition in 2 areas and be accepted into 2 areas. They can also be scholarshiped in 2 areas. So there is somewhat of an incentive to try to do 2 auditions.
What is the best way for students to schedule auditions if they apply after January 15th?
When they apply, those applications come to me and I put them on the schedule. So if they request an audition date, even if it's after January 15th, they will get the audition date of their choice. If they request auditions after all of our official audition dates have ended, then I work with them and our applied faculty to schedule individual audition dates. Those will either be on campus on a mutually convenient date, or we'll set up some sort of virtual audition for the student and the faculty. But we will hear auditions as long as ISU applications are open.
Thank you, Christine.
Yeah.
Do transfer students tend to be admitted to certain music majors? what are the most popular majors that you're seeing transfer students select?
Transfers are most interested in music therapy. We by far have a largest transfer population in music therapy. That tends to be like an exploratory major that students come to later on. Music education is the second most popular transfer major. I think those are easier majors to transfer into, especially music therapy. Music therapy, actually, it's possible to come in with an associate's degree and finish in 4 to 5 semesters. The amount of time it takes to finish music therapy depends on your theory placement primarily. But we really structure our music therapy curriculum and schedule to accommodate transfer students. So that's really one of the easiest degrees to transfer into.
And along those same lines, there's a lot of different music majors, but is it feasible for any of them with an associate's, an arts degree, prerequisites completed to finish in 4 years between the community college and Illinois State?
It's a great question, and it's a very hard one to answer. The BA and BS degrees, yes. I believe we even have a 2+2 agreement with South Suburban College with our music business degree. So a music business degree or one of the liberal arts music degrees can feasibly finish in 4 years total. The music therapy and music education and Bachelor of Music degrees are much harder. There's more theory that's required. So the transfer placement theory exam will determine the amount of time, the amount of applied lesson credits they're bringing over, the amount of ensemble credits that are transferring. All of those will affect the time to degree. So it's very individualized for every student that comes over.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for answering these questions for us, and thank you for your presentation, Chris.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Okay, we are going to now welcome Dr. Chris Grieshaber, the chair of the Department of Health Sciences, to the presentation here, and he's going to share updates within his department. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you, Samantha, and thank you to all of you who are attending. I'm imagining a big room full of all of you, and I'm super excited because it is a great time to be talking about health sciences right now. We've been pretty busy the last 18 months, and so I've got a lot to share, and I'm going to move through those pretty quickly, so hopefully we can get to some questions at the end. Our particular department, we do have 5 different majors. We're actually in the process of growing, more about that later. But those 5 majors include environmental health and sustainability, 2 different sequences in health informatics and management, one which is online, one which is face-to-face here in class, 2 sequences in health promotion and education. One is public health. They've been the most busy the last 18 months. And the second sequence in school health education. So we're currently operating on a K-12 endorsement for our health teachers in the schools. Medical laboratory science, which also includes an MLT to bachelor's online sequence. Again, more about that later. And then finally, our occupational safety and health group. We do have several minors that go along with those majors. So other students certainly who have interest in health sciences can participate in our degree programs as well. So just a few updates, and we do have some. We are currently in the process of adding 3 new programs. One, integrative health and wellness. If you've heard a little bit about wellness, about health coaching, some of those individual practices where public health is more about the population, integrative health, wellness, and health coaches is more of a focus on individuals. That will come online this coming fall. In fact, just 2 days ago, the curriculum got the final approval, and we're going to start our marketing and all that stuff. So look for that on the website, I would say probably in the next month. We are in the process for fall of 2023 of developing 2 new programs, an online master's degree, and the third one there, applied health sciences, which is a new bachelor's degree program. If you have students, and I know this has come up before, that are interested in nursing and accelerating nursing programs, make sure you throw a question in the chat over there, and I'll address that, because this particular degree program has that in mind, and there's some opportunities there for those students. We have changed a few of our names, if you are familiar with our programs, to really reflect contemporary positions that these degrees are in industry. So environmental health, which has always included a focus on sustainability, now includes that in the title. Occupational safety and health. Our program is a generalist program that really focuses on worker safety and health, and so we felt it was important that was highlighted in the name as well. Community health education, which has really always been public health. So we changed that name just so that people are more familiar with what really that degree program is. So those are your public health professionals, people out there working for governments and communities and industry in support of public health. And then finally, health information management, which as a career is really moving more towards analytics, informatics, data-driven type stuff, really exciting stuff. And so our curriculum is also transitioning to accommodate for that. We want to be on the front edge of that, and we want our graduates to be leaders and have those skills. So we're really looking hard and working hard on making sure that degree program is staying up with industry. We have a couple new scholarships. I've highlighted one there, the Beverly Barham Scholarship, which is a scholarship for our MLS students. We have scholarships available in all 5 of our programs. We are working on some new recruiting and transfer scholarships, some new study abroad scholarships. So, like Jeff mentioned, we know that finances can be a hurdle for a lot of students, and we're trying our best to work through that and to help our students out. So, Samantha, if you want to move to the next one, thank you so much. So, like I said, this is a great time to be thinking about health sciences. So, if you look at those degrees. We're not doctors, so these aren't really patient-facing degrees. So if you have students that really want to get into a health career, a health profession, they want to make a difference, they want to work with people, and they want to shift that balance from a health standpoint, there's really a lot of opportunities in our department. We're actually a heavy transfer department because a lot of our majors are found majors. Students just don't, what's a safety professional? I had no idea that, that even existed. And so we have a lot to brag about. We have very, very high job placement rates. Our career prospects in the Department of Health Sciences are wonderful. Our students are getting jobs, they're getting paid well. We require professional practice or internships in all of our degree programs. So that work experience comes along with the degree itself. And in a lot of cases, those internships and those connections that we have in our program with industry channel students and lead them right into career opportunities. We are a smaller department. So we have 16 full-time faculty members. We do not have graduate students teaching any of our classes. We have full-time faculty members teaching our classes, and in some cases, we will bring in instructional capacity from industry if we need a very specific skill set or instructor for one of our classes. And so the students are in direct contact with those folks here in the department. The RHIT to HIM online degree program, which some of you may have heard of, if you have an RHIT program at your institution, I definitely want to talk to you about our online program. It's a great program. Students can join it at any point. So there's six 6-hour classes that are required to finish out the bachelor's degree once you transfer in with an RHIT. Our program is highly ranked, second in Illinois, 14th in the nation. And like I said, those courses are sequenced. They're offered one each semester, and you can join that degree program anytime. So if you have students that are interested in that, they want that health informatics degree, and they've gone through the RHIT sequence, by all means, please contact us, and we can work out an MOU and an agreement that'll help that transition for them. It's a very exciting program. The other online program that we have is our MLT to MLS Bridge program. So students that want to go into medical laboratory science. And for those of you that don't know, they were equally as busy the last 18 months because all those COVID tests and all those tests that get done at hospitals and doctors' offices, our students are the ones that run those tests. So they're the ones in the labs that are doing all that work, and they create the data. We like to report that over 70% of medical decisions are made using laboratory data, and our students are the ones that create that data. Samantha, can we go to the next slide, please? There we go. So our programs, we have some GPA requirements in a few of our programs. You can see there, public health, school health, and MLS have a 2.5, so a little bit higher than the university. Health informatics, 2.25. Environmental health and sustainability, occupational safety and health. If students can get into ISU, they can go directly into those programs. We have open enrollment in those programs, and so we don't limit the number of students that we're taking in those programs. So students with interest should just reach out to our advisor, apply, and we'll start working with them right away. So we're all open now. We're accepting new students, and like I said, we're excited to do it. Oh, whoops, I got ahead of myself. Sorry about that. I've already mentioned the RHIT to HIM, and I think I saw a question there. Oh, I'm sorry, Samantha, you can go back to the next slide. That's perfect. Thank you. I just saw a question pop up. The RHIT program, the health information technology, and the health informatics and management, sorry, I'm a little acronym soup there. So those RHIT programs are the programs that exist in the community colleges. And then the HIM program is the bachelor degree program here at ISU. So for both the RHIT to HIM and the MLT to MLS, in addition to the hours in the applied associate degrees, those students will need to hold the credentials. So the medical lab technician or clinical lab technician credential and the RHIT credential in order to qualify for those online programs. So I think, Samantha, if you want to advance. Yep. So I buzzed through a whole bunch of that stuff. I hope you have questions for me because, and if they don't get answered today, by all means, reach out to me or our academic advisor, Angie Almeida, who some of you may know. And we are ready to talk to you. We are excited to talk to you. And we have a lot of room for students and opportunities for students. So what questions do you have?
Thank you, Chris. The first one is, can you just clarify what RHIT stands for?
Yeah, so that's a registered health information, I think technician or technology. I apologize for not knowing that off the top of my head, but that's the RHIA and the RHIT are professional credentials, and those programs at the community college level are associated with that credential. So in addition to the applied associate's degree, to move into that RHIT to HIM online program, they would need that professional credential.
Thank you, Chris. Can you comment on the current job outlook for health education teachers in the public school system?
Okay. Great question. Thank you. It's very good. I don't know the exact percentages, but I do know that there's a shortage of health teachers in Illinois. School health is a requirement. So by law, schools have to teach health. And what we've seen in the last several years is that a lot of that content is also moving down. So we've adjusted our curriculum to account for middle school and elementary as well. So that's why you see that K-12 license versus what it used to be, which was 9-12. So it was just high school. Our teachers now are coming out with a K-12 license. Samantha, is my background backwards?
It looks mirrored to you, but it looks correct
Okay.
to us.
All right. Okay.
And we have one last question here. Can you expand a little on the applied health science degree and what careers it prepares students
Yes.
for?
Yes. Thank you for asking. So we are creating a new degree program. It will launch in the fall of 2023. We're actually writing the curriculum right now. And what this degree really is meant to capture is students, there's some people, I want to go into the health profession, but I don't really want to deal with people per se. I don't want to have that sort of frontline face-to-face position. Maybe you want to go into medical technology, maybe you want to go into sales, maybe you want to do some of that background work in health. So this degree would be an opportunity for you. So this degree it'll have 5 core health sciences classes. You'll take some science electives, and then students will be able to choose from a wide range of health sciences electives that can come from multiple different programs in our department. So maybe you don't want to focus exclusively on occupational safety and health, but you want to pick up a couple of those classes and some other public health classes to sort of create a little niche for yourself in terms of the career that you want. The other thing that this degree has been designed to do is to create a more manageable pathway for accelerated nursing. So most accelerated nursing programs have their own set of prerequisites. And in a lot of cases, a student who's going to go into accelerated nursing will have to major and meet all the major requirements in one major. And then on top of that, meet the prerequisite requirements in order to get into the accelerated nursing program. And what we've done with this sequence is to optimize that so that students essentially can double dip. They can meet the applied health sciences requirements, which has the same, even if they decide they ultimately don't go into nursing, it has the same career outcomes, the same prospects, but it also meets those accelerated nursing requirements. So if they decide they do want to go into nursing, they don't have to take a lot of extra class. In fact, if they do it well, they don't have to take any extra classes. So that's a great question. Thank you for asking that.
Yeah, we get a lot of students, if they're not admissible to nursing, that turn to health sciences for a lot of your programs.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Potentially, yes, lead into accelerated. Thank you. Well, that wraps up our update for the Department of Health Sciences. Thank you again, Chris, for joining us.
Thanks, Samantha. Thank you, everyone.
Now we will welcome our final advisor here, Dave Malone. He is our academic advisor for the Department of Agriculture. Welcome, Dave.
Thanks, Samantha. It's a pleasure to be here. So
we go.
in agriculture, can you hear me better now?
I can, much better.
Okay. Well, it's a pleasure to be here and have this audience. And you can go ahead and advance to the next slide. And I start out by just saying great students in our department, and so many of them come from the transfer institutions, and I want to thank you for that. We think we have a wonderful group of faculty and staff, a great campus here at Illinois State University. And then combining that with the different clubs and activities we have, we think that makes for a great experience for our students, and welcome all those transfer students that come in. If you want to go to the next slide, we can talk about kind of what's new in the department. 3 updates, and you can always go to our website for faculty and staff listing. But in our faculty and staff, 3 new people or relatively new people in terms of positions. I'm going to start with Dr. Rob Reichert on the right. Rob was our department chair for 13 years, and he did a wonderful job. He decided somewhat recently that he was going to step back from that role and go back to faculty and soil science. So we welcome him back there teaching soil science now. But then in that vacuum, we did need to hire a new department chair, and we have welcomed Dr. Fanson Kidwero on the left-hand side as our new department chair. He had the misfortune of starting up right when COVID was hitting. So it's really nice this fall that he's getting to now meet students on campus and rolling into that job. But Dr. Kidwero doing a great job with that. And then in the center, Corey Malone, I welcome her to advisement, helping me out. I always feel compelled to tell students that she is not related to me, so I'm going to say a bunch of nice things about her. And it's not because she's my daughter, as a lot of people sometimes assume. But Corey joined our staff several years ago. She teaches animal science. She's done a wonderful job with that. But of recent time, we welcomed her also to helping me with advisement. She helps with recruitment and is truly doing a lot of wonderful things in the department. So those are 3 new faces, or some faces that have been here before doing new roles in our department. And again, if any questions about any of our faculty and staff, please refer to our faculty staff webpage. And also always feel free, I'll make the point before I forget, please always feel free to email me or call me. Always glad to answer your questions. So, and I know lots of you have done that in the past and will continue to do so. If we want to move to the next slide. Highlights in the department, lots of good things, I think, but I always like to start with the teaching and research farm and the horticulture center. 2 unique things that we have is being involved in the agriculture industry. The teaching and research farm up at Lexington, Illinois address, just a little out of town here. A wonderful place for working with animals, crops, the different opportunities that our students have for their lab activities, but also independent studies, special problems, getting involved with research with our different faculty and staff members. And really every semester, we always have about half a dozen or so students that are also actually working up at the farm for salary. So lots of good opportunities up there. The Horticulture Center, just on the north edge of town. Jessica Chambers is a graduate of our program. She was given the task some years ago of developing the Horticulture Center out there basically from scratch. And she's really done a wonderful job. Beautiful gardens out there. There's also a native prairie restoration area. There's also some research plots out there. But certainly from our horticulture student standpoint, wonderful opportunities out there. But really for all of our students and in the department, lots of opportunity, but also for the community of Bloomington Normal. A lot of events are hosted out there. A lot of student groups go out and visit. And I always tell students, if you get a chance, get the opportunity to go out and visit the Horticulture Center and make it a point to visit throughout the different seasons of the year. It really is a beautiful place. It's a relaxing place if you want to get away and just walk around and view the beautiful gardens, and a nice place to go, whether it be fall, spring, summer, winter, and see the different seasons out there. So 2 wonderful things that we have as part of campus, although off the main campus site, obviously. Next, the annual Ag Career and Internship Fair is coming up. We have that every fall. October 6th is the date for that this year, but we will have 50 to 60 companies come to campus looking to recruit our students for, originally it started out as a career fair, but now has morphed into also an internship fair where companies are more aggressively always looking for our students for internship opportunities, which oftentimes then lead to career offers as well. But really a must do for our students. And regardless of whether you're a beginning freshman at ISU or for transfer students, particularly, we're going to urge them, go to that immediately when you're here the first semester in the fall, because you really want to start that networking. and so many great opportunities for students to go out and network and visit with companies who are actively looking for students for those internships and those careers. So next, small class size. We're a relatively small department on campus, so that makes for a real good faculty to student ratio, which is really integral to agriculture with all the lab classes that we have. But a real plus, I think, for the department to get to know the faculty members, your fellow student, and a good part of your education. Outstanding departmental clubs and organizations. I think this is something we really pride ourselves on, is the quality of our departmental clubs and organizations. I know when I talk to groups, I always talk about, I think this is an outgrowth of many people who are in agricultural settings being involved in 4-H at a young age, that may continue at FFA through the high school years. But for our students who may not have been involved in either one of those, they will often say, well, can I still belong? And absolutely. Really, all you need is enthusiasm, the interest in getting involved, and you can be an active member of the different clubs and organizations that we have. But they really do a great job, and they are student run. Faculty serve as advisors to give advice and suggestions, but the clubs that we have are ultimately student run, and they really are a great supplement to the academic setting in the department, and we think really help contribute to making a well-rounded education. I would like to highlight, lastly, in terms of highlights, we've had 3 Bone Scholars the past 3 years at Illinois State University, and if you go back historically, I think we have a very nice track record for developing Bone Scholars. And for those of you that may not know, the Bone Scholar is the highest award that a undergraduate student at Illinois State University can receive. It is a combination of academics, service, clubs, activities, really the total resume for a student. And we've had three students be so honored the last 3 years. But I think more importantly than just those 3 students, I think the setting that we provide in the department gives all of our students an opportunity to be involved in those clubs, those activities, to do service, to have a great academic record if they're inclined and driven. And that's really what it's all about, is providing that environment for the students to excel. So those are highlights in the department. If we move on, I would want to talk a little bit about requirements and recommendations. Basically, you can be admitted to all of our majors, and I say majors, I should be more specific in that. We have an agriculture major in the department, and then 10 sequences in that major. The sequences are, if I group them, there are 4 animal-related pre-vet, animal industry management, and animal science. In crops, soils, and plants, we have crop soil science, agronomy management, and horticulture. In the business area, we have agribusiness and food industry management. And then in education and communication, we have ag education and ag communication and leadership. So those sequences all fall under the agriculture major. Students who are admitted and meet the university minimum requirement to be admitted to ISU can be admitted to any of those sequences. Specifically, though, once they're admitted, there are some requirements pre-vet, particularly if you want to get into vet school after graduating from here. There are going to be very high academic standards to be admitted to the veterinary schools. Ag education, there is a 2.5 GPA requirement to graduate in ag education at Illinois State University. So although you can be admitted to those sequences, you will have higher standards to graduate and then go on to potentially vet school. Looking at that, obviously everybody's interested in having the highest GPA that they can while here. Ideally, it's great to have as many IAI Gen Education classes completed as possible. In terms of when you come here as a transfer student, that definitely is a recommendation, and that technically a student could be admitted with very little along those lines. But I think in terms of the student's best interest, the more of those they can have done, the better. The actual Gen Education suggestions certainly vary by major. If a student's interested in pre-vet, crop, soil science, animal science, then there is far higher levels of science and math required as compared to agronomy management, animal industry management, ag communications, ag education. In those majors, basically, if you meet the IAI sequence. Also, please, if any specific questions here. Moving on to the next slide. Transfers in agriculture, we are a transfer heavy department. I did just a check on our census day that came out here at the beginning of the fall in terms of our total majors. We have 365 agricultural undergraduate majors. Of those, 229 had 10 plus transfer hours. And I also looked at it from the standpoint of other hours. I can tell you we're right at about 50% of the students, I would say, are the typical student who go to college for two years or around 2 years and is transferring in from 50 to 70 hours. So about half of our students are that, what I call kind of a traditional transfer student, in the sense that they spent 2, or in some cases, maybe 3 years at a community college and then are coming to ISU to finish up their degree. But a majority of our students, easily over a majority of our students, have a significant number of transfer hours. Wide variety of transfer institutions they're coming in from, but predominantly it's the Illinois public community colleges. Those students have a wide variety of their transfer background. Certainly a fair number of them have an AS or an AA degree or are very close, but we also have a large number of students who went the AAS route, have far fewer gen ed classes. So quite a variety that we see in terms of those backgrounds. Challenges, I think fitting everything into 2 years is always a challenge. And I want to emphasize, a student who comes in with the 50 to 70 hours, we see students with AS/AA degrees that can get done in a year and a half at ISU, and the key being their gen ed done. The students with the AAS degree who do not have a lot of gen ed done, we may be looking at 2.5 years or even 3 years. But the challenge I'm talking about, I guess, is getting involved at the senior college level in terms of clubs, activities, networking. I think the students oftentimes feel like, I get there the first year and I'm getting used to the place, and then the second year I'm looking for a job and it's time to leave already. I think the balance for that, and from my perspective, I always share with people, I went to a community college for 2 years. The trade-off, I think, is having gone to the community college, you've networked, participated in clubs and activities, and been at 2 different institutions. Excuse me. So that certainly is a benefit, but then the trade-off is when you get to Illinois State University, it is 2 years, or in some cases, people may be taking 3 years. So it is kind of condensed, but finding that balance is always the key, I think. And because there are advantages for a lot of students to go the community college route, that still works absolutely fine. And I think most of them ultimately can tell you that they still have time to fit in what they want at the university level. So, but those would be some of the observations I guess I've had. And if we move on. I will open it up to questions, hopefully time-wise. I think we're right on about spot for time. Samantha, you can correct me there, but I'd be glad to answer any questions that we have. And I will say, please email me with any questions if we don't answer them today or time doesn't allow.
Thanks, Dave. We do have 2 questions, so I'll just be sure to ask those. And then, yes, take advantage of emailing Dave if you have any follow-up questions, or me, and I can connect you to Dave. The first is, are there any study abroad options within the Department of Agriculture?
Yes, and we strongly encourage these. I always tell students it's not something that's required, but it's a wonderful experience, regardless of major, I think, and so many good opportunities out there. Specific to the Department of Agriculture, we've had a longstanding trip to Angers, France in the month of June, basically, where students get 6 hours of credit. I always ask the students when they come back what you think, and almost every one of the students will tell me it was one of the coolest things they've ever done, not just at ISU, but just simply in their lifetime. So it really is a great opportunity that students really enjoy. Dr. Spalding developed a trip to Argentina a couple of years ago, and that's a relatively new program that's been popular. And we actually have faculty who are looking at developing opportunities in Mexico and Greece. So there may be some new ones on the horizon. But the France trip is the long-standing one that we continue to have, but we are developing even other ones. And those are all through the Agriculture Department and cooperatively, actually, with a couple other departments on campus. But the National Student Exchange and International Studies Office on campus literally you can go anywhere around the globe, and we can work with students that want to set up individual programs as well.
Wonderful. And the last one here is about setting up a 2+2 agreement. Is that something that you're open to as a department for some of your majors?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I will say, and this is my 2 cents from advising over the years, ISU, I think students are really well set up coming in from the community colleges. Certainly if they have the IAI Gen Ed done, then in essence, there's a kind of an automatic 2+2 in place. In fact, students can get done in a year and a half, we observe in our department. For the AAS students, that still we can work on those 2+2s. The question is always the gen eds and how many gen eds are done, and that affects the length of time that they can be done or the course loads. I can draw up a 2+2, but the students are taking 20 hours a semester in some cases if they have a lot of gen eds to take. And even though we draw it up on paper, that's probably not realistic. So always glad to work on those. But I think in general, even without those, students are set up great to transfer here from the community colleges.
Thank you so much, Dave, for your time today and answering these questions. And then I did see one more question come through, and that's just about general math recommendations for your majors, how to see what II math to recommend for each of your individual ag majors. That can all be reviewed on our major admission guide or on our academics pages on that transfer tab. Any other remarks, Dave?
Nope, all good if questions are answered.
Okay, thank you so much. With that, again, I want to thank all of our speakers today for their updates and all of you for attending the event today. We will be in touch very soon with a recording of this event. I keep losing my voice. A link to our academic updates and an evaluation for the event, which we hope you complete. If you have any additional questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to me via email or phone. And if you joined early, you probably saw that we had some thank you slides, but if you didn't, I'm going to play them again. So stick around for a little bit as we celebrate you. We appreciate all you do, and we hope you have a really good rest of your day. Thank you.